Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from CRT Designs and today I have this fun A2 card to share with you, so let's jump right in. So I'm going to create my layers here. I've already got my A2 base. I always have them prepped. I sit down in front of the couch and do a whole bunch of bases. So I always have the A2 bases already made and I want to add a black mat to this card as per usual. And I'm going to cut my black mat to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the A2 size. So A2 of course is 4 1/4 by 5.5. And I'm going to cut off about 1/8 of an inch. And then I have a piece of Neenah Desert Storm cardstock, which starts out as A2, as you can see here. And then I'm going to cut 1/4 of an inch off this. So it will give me those really cool layers that I love. And here I'm kind of just showing you, I mean, they're kind of measured and kind of eyeballed. So I always kind of double check my stamping or my cutting just to make sure that it's accurate. Sorry guys, it's been a long day. And then we're going to create the background. So this is sped up quite a bit, but I did want to leave it in so you could see the process. So I have the Tim Holtz Leaf Prints 2 stamps. Those came out in the Halloween Stampers Anonymous set that just came out. It is more fall-esque than Halloween-esque, so that's kind of how I picked my color palette for this. And I'm going to use acrylic blocks just because I wanted to have the freedom to kind of stamp wherever I wanted. You could try using a stamping platform if you wanted to. I just find that that's a lot more work than kind of just using the blocks, but it's totally up to you. So my 5 colors that I picked are Seedless Preserves, Faded Jeans, Pine Needles, Fossilized Amber, and Ripe Persimmon. And that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm just randomly choosing leaves out of the stamp set, and then I'm kind of just placing them wherever I wanted. I started with my biggest leaf in the center, and I used Seedless Preserves because, well, purple is my favorite color, so I have a tendency towards purples. And then I kind of just building my background around it. And you'll see me cleaning up my glass mat and the stamps fairly often. And I also lightly mist the stamp with some water. This is only because I want the stamp, when I stamp it down, to have a bit of oxidization. I'm not hosing it with water. This is not watercolor cardstock. It's not going to take a ton of water and still look good, but because it's a heavier weight cardstock, I think it's the 80 pound, it can take a little moisture. So I do kind of coat my stamp in whichever color I want to use, and then I lightly mist it with water. This one got a little bit heavier with water, but honestly, I love how it looks with that oxidization in the leaf. So I kind of tried to stamp every color twice, and then I think I ended up doing purple 3 times just because I could. And you see it's going to dry back. Like when I stamp it down wet, it's quite vibrant, and then once it dries back, it kind of turns into these really beautiful fall-esque colors. And these are also colors I don't reach for super often, so I thought I would show them a little more love. I'm trying really hard to use more of the colors I have in my stash because I kind of tend towards the same colors consistently. So I did try to put every color down at least twice, and of course my Seedless Preserves was used 3 times. So I found this cool set of, these are like acrylic inks, and they're an iridescent set, and there's a silver, a gold, and a bronze, and I have the gold here, and I'm just putting some on an acrylic block, and then I used one of my paint brushes to kind of splatter it all over the background, and I think that it turns out stunning. I don't think you can see it really well here, but I will hold it up at the end and tip it in the light, and hopefully you can see it really well at the end. But these inks are just stunning. They're so pretty. So I was really excited by this find. And of course, everything I use is always linked to listed down below, so that if you're interested in shopping links, you can, because that helps the channel. If you're, out there shopping for things, that's always a really nice way to tell me that you love the stuff that I'm using, because I can see, not always, but I can usually see what's being purchased, which I think is kind of cool, because that tells me what you guys are using, so I can kind of try to do more stuff with those things. So, and then I decided I really wanted to edge my panel. So I brought that gold ink in again. I just added a little more to my block, and I'm just running my paintbrush along the edges to kind of gold ink the edge so that I can have a little more gold in it, because the splatter I added was quite fine. So I didn't really end up with any bigger blobs of the gold, so I thought edging it would look really pretty. And then I brought in a nested circle die, and I'm just going to cut the circle out of the center of my black mat, I want to put my sentiment on there. And I have my switch just off to the side, and I have kind of a multi-purpose platform because it's smaller. And I did push the switch button, so it went through twice. And you're going to see that I did it intentionally because I wanted it to be pressed in a little harder. And here's why. Because I wanted, like, once I hold this up, you're going to see it here. It gave me that really cool edge to the die, and it just looks so nice and finished and adds a little bit extra texture to the die cut. So I thought that was really pretty. And then I brought in the Noteworthy stamp set. It's the Own Your Dreams stamp. And this, I'm in love with this stamp set. I just think these sentiments are so great and so supportive. So I'm pretty excited about these. And when I said that I could see your guys' orders, I can't see who's ordering anything. So don't think that I'm like over here creeping your shopping habits. That's not what I'm doing. But when people shop my links, I can see that someone has purchased something. I can't see whom. I can just see like it might tell me like a generic code that I can then see like, oh, someone bought this same stamp set that I have, so I know that people are really interested, and I'll try to make more videos with that kind of thing. I just realized how that kind of sounded, and I didn't mean it to come across like it was kind of like a weird thing. Like, I'm not creeping your shopping habits, I promise. It just kind of generically tells me what people are purchasing sometimes. So I just wanted to clear that up when I realized how that kind of sounded. But I brought in my Big Mama foam tape, and I'm just going to add it to the back of this circle so that I have some dimension to this card. This is kind of the only dimension I add, and this is a very thin dimension. If you guys have ever checked out the foam tape from Simon Says Stamp, it's very thin, which is what I love about it. So you get a bunch of dimension, but it's very subtle dimension. And this roll is huge. And it was actually less expensive for me in Canada to get this from Simon Says Stamp with exchange and shipping than it is for me to find the 3M foam tape. So I have kind of gone this direction. And this is the same roll I've had forever. I don't add foam tape super often, so I do find that my things tend to last quite a while, but I love it and I love to have it, and this is just my preferred one of it, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to adhere everything down now with my Nuvo Deluxe glue. This is just because I like liquid glue. You could prop up the layers. I chose not to. The only thing that I'm going to have propped up is the sentiment, but you could, of course, add more layers of foam and make this a more dimensional card if you wanted to. I do tend to mail my cards, so I try, unless I'm going to hand deliver it, I try not to add too much crazy dimension, just because otherwise postage gets quite expensive, and with the gas prices and whatnot, just mailing things has become a bit pricey. So I tend to try to keep it to a bare minimum if I can with the dimension. So I brought in some gold thread here, and I'm just going to kind of wrap it around a few fingers to kind of get a shape that I like. And then I'm going to play with it a bit once I take the foam tape off of my sentiment. And this gold thread, I think I found it in like the dollar store when I was in there shopping for storage baskets. So, I mean, I love it. I think that it just adds a subtle texture to the background because it kind of blends in. I mean, again, you'll see it when I hold up the card at the end here, but it's shiny and it catches the eye and just adds a little more texture. So I kind of really like that. So I did pull off the backing to the foam tape. See here, I struggled with that one piece. It kept trying to stick to the other pieces, but I did get it all kind of lined up. And then I'm going to set it kind of on top of where I've put the thread. And then I'm going to play with the thread a little bit because it kind of, most of it was hidden behind the sentiment. So I do kind of end up lifting up the sentiment because I haven't pushed it down. So it's only like attached to the thread at the moment. So I kind of end up pulling it out and playing with it a little bit and then tucking the ends into it so that the ends aren't just like sticking out. Just because I don't like that look. I don't like the ends to show like that. So it's just kind of my personal preference. You can of course do whatever you like, but I kind of just played with it until it kind of created this fun design behind my sentiment, and then I'm going to adhere my sentiment down in the lower right corner, which is just a preferred space for me. And then because I can never leave anything alone, and bling is always better with more of it, I brought in some Pink Fresh Studios matte gold metallic pearls. I just thought that this went really well with kind of the colors I have going on in that fall feel. I mean, it's pretty hard for me to look at a leaf stamp set and not think of fall for whatever reason. I love fall. I'm excited that fall's coming. I love sweater weather and like cozy nights with a blanket and a good book and a cup of tea. Like I love fall. So this card just made me smile. And hopefully here you can see all that beautiful gold shimmer in the background and along the edge of that craft piece. So it kind of gives you an idea of how really pretty those iridescent acrylic inks are. So we'll have to use that bronze and silver at a later date and check them out as well. But I just thought this turned out really pretty. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. I'd love it if you'd leave me a comment, leave me a like, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday, and I do always respond to comments. So if there's anything you ever want to tell me or ask me, don't hesitate. I'm always happy to hear from you guys. All right, guys, I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.